Hello, hello, my dear friends. I really hope you can hear me well. I didn't forget to turn on the mic, hopefully.
Me too.
But oh yeah, I can hear you too. Hello, dear superstars. It's evening in Ukraine, 10 p.m., and we are going to talk a bit with my buddy Rick here, over there.
Hi guys.
Oh
Okay,
my
I
God.
disappeared,
He
but
disappeared.
I'm
You're
here.
back. You're back, bro. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Despite all of the attacks, missile attacks, Shahid attacks, I feel alive because I'm doing what I love. I'm having 2 weeks off from work, and I can do the work I love, which is fundraising. Working on dubs and all of that stuff. So, feeling pretty happy right now.
Great, great. Oh, we have Ivan Hashina here in the chat. Oh my God, Vanya, братик, як у тебе справи? That's my combat brother.
Awesome.
Yeah, so cool to see you. Вибачаю, що до пустої голови. Alrighty. So, brother, tell me about your recent initiatives and efforts.
Okay, first of all, NAFO truck campaign. We're raising money for the third NAFO truck, and this one is special to me. It has the patch which you can receive for donating 100 or more euros to that campaign. The goal is 18,000 euros. It's a pretty ambitious goal, but as experience shows us it's not impossible and pretty much achievable, especially when you superstars are involved. Thank you very much for helping significantly helping with the last NAFO truck fundraiser. Sorry, this was very very helpful. Thank you guys. And what else? So this fundraiser has this patch with my cat Floki the fighter, who was fighting her disease, which was actually gravely for 3 months, but she passed away, and I'm just happy that I had her in my life for 5 years because she was like a dog. She was so dedicated, she was always with me and so dependable on me, just like any dog. So I had a cat dog, that famous cat dog from the cartoon. You remember that one?
Yeah.
But it was just a different way of a cat dog. So and yes, guys, this by ordering those patches, you will also um, continue the memory. You'll carry on the memory of my cat, who is pretty famous in our community in the rollers, and they actually were all the way with me, supporting me. So thank you very much, rollers. You're the best. Um, the link is in the description of the stream. I asked Starsky to edit there, so follow the link. If the link won't work for you because it's an Estonian bank, which is taking the money. So for some of your countries, this might not work. You can send money to my PayPal, of course, if you use PayPal. PayPal is also there in the description. What else? I also have put the other Monobank link to the other fundraiser of mine. This is for Mavic 3T drone for Karpatika Siege Battalion. They are 15 separate battalion. Now, this is actually not my fundraiser. I'm helping a friend, Andriy Siromacha, who is one of the most inspiring Ukrainian soldiers I know. He lost an arm and a leg during the full-scale invasion. He's now going through a rehabilitation, but guys, he's just the most optimistic and the most inspiring, as I already told you, person. He does so much. He is, I don't know how he is managing all of that at the same time, but you got to check his Twitter out, by the way, too, Andriy Siromacha. And yes, this is his fundraiser, so we're helping him. And I have an information for all of you guys. I haven't told it anyone, but yesterday I called the supplier of drones of mine And he said that he has a great price of just 169,000 hryvnias instead of 209. So 40,000 less than it was initially. And but he said, if you will send me whatever you've already raised, I will order them, and they will be delivered already on Sunday. So on Sunday, we're going to have the drone. We're just going to have to raise 64 more thousand hryvnias during the Sunday stream. This is totally liftable. That's actually something that we raise almost every stream, and many times we raise even more on those streams. So that's totally achievable. But great news that the drone is going to be here on Sunday already. And I might even be able to show it to you on the stream. So enough talking about fundraisers. It's been too much time. Sorry. But thank you very much for all the potential donations. Any donation that I'm going to be receiving on my PayPal during the stream, I'm going to mention it. Thank you for your attention and for always supporting my fundraisers, Superstars.
Bro, thank you so much, because what you're doing is very, very important for Ukrainian defenders. My bro Ivan Khashina is mad because he doesn't understand English. Братик, потім поспілкуємося десь там в приваті. Радий бачити. So, today is the second day I'm meeting Rick, by the way, because yesterday we met in Kiev downtown. I think we needed some kind of psychological relief. We were not drinking, as you know. We don't drink. We don't respect that shit until the war is finished. Yuka Starsky, how do you keep looking so sexy? Mystery to me as well. I don't know how to answer this question. Yeah, and it's possible that you will be hearing some talks, some dogs barking, some kids screaming. It's because I'm currently in a different location than my previous base of operations, so you may hear some occasional kids screaming. They're not my kids, okay, and I prefer not to talk about it because Scott Ritter may be watching our stream as well. So today we will definitely talk about the Russian influencers in Europe and why they are dangerous. And by the way, I'm grateful to Rick, who showed me this awesome channel called To Be Or. So can you tell us a bit more about this channel?
Yeah, so this guy seems to be a Russian, but a very useful Russian. I don't like the term good Russians, but they can be useful to Ukraine. And he's been supporting Ukraine since the very beginning of full-scale invasion. He wears mask, a white mask, and some of the rollers said it would be even creepier if he's gonna have blood stains on that mask. And I totally agree. But the guy is actually thinking about his life, because if the Russian terrorist regime will know who he is, they will definitely kill him. So that dude is openly talking against Putin. He is calling the war. He's I think donating to the armed forces of Ukraine, but I gotta check. I'm not sure, but you know that he is openly saying things and calling them by their names. And he actually launched that amazing video just a few days ago, where he made a great analysis of all the networks Russians have, networks of spies and far right organizations, Nazi organizations all over the Europe and in the US, by the way, too. Starsky also watched this video, and I think you agree, bro, that this is a very good piece of material.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I liked is that in this video, and it's a long video, actually, it's 40 plus minutes, but it's full of information. It's packed with facts, and basically he does some very good investigation on Russian networks, Russian influencers in Europe, not only in Europe but in the US as well. And it's something very, very important to expose to the public. So public start to understand that they are not supporting peace, they are supporting Russian supremacy instead of peace. And you gotta check this link again in the description below. It's the very, very first link. Please, guys, after this stream, make sure you saw this video and make sure you shared it whatever possible, because it carries a lot of important facts. And before we start, first of all, I would like to mention some important updates. So as of today, we have information that 230 Ukrainian defenders were released from the Russian captivity. It's amazing. I think it's probably one of the biggest exchanges as of today, right, Bo?
That's the biggest. That's the record number of captives returned from Russian captivity.
Yeah. Basically, there's a lot of guys who were fighting in Mariupol, who were defending Azov Steel plant from the Russian invaders last year. And we are very, very grateful to them. We are very happy that they returned home. 230 guys. I'm sure that a lot of us didn't expect to see them back alive, but yeah, they're here, and they will receive deserved rest, hopefully. And together with that, unfortunately, we have some. Before I switch to this news, there was a commentary that I have a slight echo on my microphone. Guys, it's not on my microphone. It's because of the facility I'm at this moment.
Can I add something to the news about our fighters coming back, defenders, I would say. So a bit of statistics, guys. 48 of those 230 people were actually not confirmed as captives. They were missing persons. So can you imagine how huge New Year present for their families it was? They didn't even know that those people were in captivity, those soldiers, and they receive a call from that person saying that I'm back. This might be just the the ultimate happiness, I think. And yes, of course, I gotta mention that 6 civilians were also getting back in this exchange. And as you know, Russia is keeping a lot of our civilians in their captivity, illegally arresting them, illegally torturing them in prisons too, just like any of other soldiers, because they hate all Ukrainians. They just love to torture. That's what they do and have pleasure from it. And a lot of interviews from our soldiers who got back from captivity prove that. I am hoping to have time to dub one of those interviews. There are so many disgusting and shocking details out there, what Russians are doing to them. So I think this is very important for everyone in the world to hear what Russians really are and what they do to our soldiers and just prisoners. They're Ukrainian prisoners. Thank you.
Not only prisoners, but also prisoners who never saw representatives of Red Cross in any of the Russian prisons. I spoke to many Ukrainian prisoners who were captured by Russians. They never saw representatives of the Red Cross whatsoever. None, zero. Like it never happened.
One guy who returned back from the captivity, he told the story how the representatives of Russian Red Cross were coming in, or maybe even international. And he said in that interview to a Ukrainian journalist that fuck them. He showed his middle finger because he said that they came and they were actually laughing at them singing those Russian hymns, and marching around and they were mocking them. They were making jokes. This is unacceptable, and this is happening, man. So they unfortunately visit, but they work for Russia, obviously, and they give us no information about that. They just come, laugh, and they go away. We have at least one evidence from this soldier.
Yeah, because people don't really know, or maybe you saw the interview with Bogdan that I made last year. So Russians make our prisoners sing Russian anthem every time in the morning,
Mhm.
and that's what they do. You have to learn the words of the Russian anthem, and you have to stand and sing their freaking anthem of the Russian invaders. So this is the happy news, and yeah, there's a question: Are there are those guys starved? You know, like all other guys who returned from the Russian captivity. You pretty much can see from the picture that there are no fat people on this photo, on this video. And I think you may find a lot of them in Ukrainian captivity, right? Because remember that interview that I made, that I showed you in one of my streams with that big guy who says, I don't like Europe and I've never been there and I don't want to.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And
fucker.
those of them who are coming back pretty fat, and saying that they were just giving us water one time per day, and that's it. We had no food there. I've been there for a few months. Yeah, of course, it's obvious that you haven't eaten anything there. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and of course it's a happy news. We are all happy for our guys. At the same time, we also have sad news, unfortunately. So today, a boy, his name was Gleb Feduk, and he was buried today. He was killed by Russian fascists in Kherson when he went out on the street, and there was a shelling, and unfortunately, Russian shell stopped his life. So this is the guy. As you can see, he was only born in 2012. 12 years old. Unfortunately, we're losing not only soldiers but a lot of civilians due to the Russian fire and Russian atrocities. And today, as I mentioned, first of all, I would like to remind you to see that video that we were talking about. The link in the description to be or. You will find a lot of interesting information about Russian influence in Europe, in the US, in Canada, and how the Russians are integrating their influencers in different movements, not only extremist movements, but also political movements. And basically, I can show you just briefly what the author of this video is talking about. So, for example, here we have this man on this picture. It's a screenshot from a video that was made in Russia. It's an interview with a leader of far-right extremist organization called The Base. And this organization is active in the US, in Canada, in the UK, I believe. This man was interviewed in Russia by Russian journalists, and he was freely walking on the street as a guest. And those are his brave comrades. This is their flag. You probably heard about them, right? And there were a lot of news actually regarding this organization in several countries. This organization called The Base is considered a terrorist organization. Some of their members were arrested for preparing terrorist acts against people, against representatives of different races. And also, this channel mentions, people like those. You probably recognize this man with buffalo horns. Yeah, he's really famous in the U.S. Since the last year, right?
Yeah.
And in the green circle, there is a man that was also spotted with Russian activists. And by the way, that is imperial Russian flag. Remember, we were talking on one of the streams about the history of the Russian flag.
I was there. I was on that stream when you actually were talking about the history of flags. Yeah, total imperialism and Nazi at one jar,
Yeah, so basically that's the same guy from the previous picture. And there is this photo of those two individuals. They were accused of preparing a terrorist act in Sweden, right? So they were representatives of the Swedish extremist organization, Nordic Brotherhood, blah, blah, whatever. And they prepared a terrorist act against refugees. So they were also found training in one of the training camps that was preparing Russian terrorists fighting in Donbass. Is that a Rushkin flag? Rushkin flag, yeah, that is a Rushkin flag. There's plenty of organizations, far-right organizations in Europe that not only support Russian terrorists and basically Russian supremacy, this ideology of Russian supremacy, but they also fight for the Russians. So, for example, here you can see a flag of so-called Falanga. That is a Polish far-right organization. Here you can see their man, right? Reporterzy bez granic. So those guys made a picture next to a flag of the so-called DPR. That is an artificial terrorist state that was organized by the Russian terrorists in 2014 in Donbass. And here you can see the leader of this organization, Falanga. His name is Bartosz Becker, and he made a picture next to Pushilin, one of the leaders of the so-called DPR. He's not alone. There's many of them. I remember a lot of different representatives of different political parties visited those terrorist-controlled territories. And here, for example, we have also a German representative that made a picture next to Dugin. Dugin, as you probably know, he is an ideologist and creator of this Russian ideology of Russian supremacy, known as the Russian world. Dugin is one of the few people in Russia who has legitimate right. He's granted this legitimate right to talk openly about conquering the world, about killing lower nations, lower races, and things like that. And he's the one who created this idea that Russia has its own unique way, unique path of development that consists of dominating around the planet Earth and shit like that. And that German representative that you can see there, he organized a Eurasian organization in Germany, and here you can also see this man at the basically Russian television, Novorossiya TV. My God, I saw several of their shows once. It's a complete like
Such a cringe, first of all.
yeah, Kobzon. Concerts of Kobzon, bro. I had to watch it. I cried. Oh my God. So, guys, what's the point? The point is there's plenty of far right organizations. There's plenty of far right organizations that okay, here let's return to this one, for example. There's plenty of extremist far right organizations around the world, in Europe, in the Americas, right, in northern, in southern Americas, and they are not fighting for peace. Basically, people join those organizations because their representatives, the members of those organizations, they enjoy violence. And in order to prepare for their future conquests against democracy, because we all know that they dream of revolutions and coups and those repressions that happen in Russia, but they dream to see them in their countries, in France, in the UK. They need to prepare soldiers, and basically, they have all kinds of opportunities to prepare those soldiers and gain combat experience fighting for the Russian terrorists in Donbass, which is what they do. Again, returning to those Swedish guys, basically this is what they do. They receive their combat training there, they fight for the Russian terrorists, then they return back home and they share the experience with the rookies in their organizations. I can tell you a lot about such organizations because back in my days when I was a teenager, I was inside one and I know how it works. So I'm here to share with you everything I know. But here we have extremists, right? Far right extremists. And those far right extremists, they are the brute force. Basically, they don't hide the fact that they're supporting Russia because they keep low profile as much as possible. Their members keep low profile. They don't openly walk and speak about conducting terrorist acts and shit like that. But there's plenty organizations, including organizations and parties in Europe and in the US that also support Russia. And here we have like a small, I would say, cognitive dissonance, right? Because it is more proper to say that you don't support Ukraine and Russia, that both countries are corrupted countries fighting against each other, and we, as true patriots and nationalists of our, for example, United States, we should stay aside and we should solve our problems inside our countries. And for example, you remember this march called Rage Against the War Machine that happened in the US. So here you can see that people are protesting against NATO. Again, what I was talking about all the time. The protesters who call for peace in Ukraine, they usually protest against NATO and they protest against Ukraine. So basically, in their mind, the only peace in Ukraine is possible when there is no Ukraine. And they go stop fighting against Russia. Russians are good guys, and they also go stop supporting Ukraine because the more Ukrainians are fighting, the more of their children die, and we care for their children so much. So let's better stop supporting them with weapons so they finally die. And this is Guys, such calls are very, very dangerous in your country, because if your country quits being a NATO member, it becomes defenseless. It becomes completely unprotected. And since Ukraine was not a NATO country, you probably see what happened to Ukraine almost 2 years ago. But we will return to this picture because, again, it's very, very important. Rage against the war machine in the United States. There were a lot of protesters like those guys. Basically, this was the only protest for peace where the protesters were supporting the invader, which was kind of funny. There were no Ukrainian flags. There were no Ukrainian protesters. Nobody called Russia to stop their aggression in Ukraine. No, it doesn't work like that. Basically, all the people who support the idea of destroying Ukraine, they go, yes, I support the peace in Ukraine, but they never say Russia must stop its aggression. They blame everybody else for this aggression, not Russia. However, every protester who wants to fight for peace, they should always say, they should start their speech with, yes, I support peace, and because Russia invaded Ukraine, they physically crossed the border with Ukraine. Their missiles physically crossed the border and crashed into Ukrainian residential houses. We must call Russia to stop this aggression, and we must call all other sides to cease their efforts, and we must call to the ceasefire or whatever. But they never mentioned that. They never mentioned that Russia is the invader. And here we can see again, Washington has never seen so many Russian flags, I guess, in their history, concentrated in the same place.
Why the fuck it is still allowed?
Because of freedom of speech, because
Nice.
basically there's a lot of Russians who hate the US and shit, but they keep living and suffering in the US because they don't want to return to their beautiful, glorious motherland. So the question is why they never keep being neutral? Because it's logical. Okay, if you want to infiltrate the American society using your influencers, using your opinion makers, paid opinion makers, why don't you keep neutrality? Why do you openly support Russia? Because again, if you hear Tucker Carlson, if you hear Scott Pederiter, they all talk about supporting Russia. They all root for Russia. They never root for for peace. The fucker, what was his name? David Smith. I remember in his show in his speech at Joe Rogan's show, he said, "Dude, you know that I'm the biggest peace supporter. I'm the most peaceful guy in the world, but..." And basically he starts justifying Osama bin Laden and Putin and all other fuckers. Why do they always justify Russia? Why do they always side with Russia? Why do they keep carrying those Russian narratives? What's the point? Like even an idiot listening to them will go like, dude, he's paid by Kremlin. Kremlin basically pays to this idiot, so he pushes the pro-Russian narratives. It's not like they're not smart, but basically the idea behind all this is the guys who support Russia, they do it because they hate America. People living in America and supporting Russia, they want to see their demise, the demise of their of their country, of their homeland. It's not a secret. They don't root for thriving of the United States because they were born with understanding that they have everything, they have freedom, and everything is given to them, and they don't want to see the thriving of their country. They want to see its demise, basically. Um, Even like everybody knows that geopolitically, uh, Russia and the US are adversaries, they are rivals, right? And it's a normal thing because you can have like whatever rivalry, a peaceful rivalry. You can have a hybrid rivalry, but one way or another, they are not friends. One of the reasons, of course, because Russia hates and despises everybody, especially Americans. But they want to see the demise of their country. And the reason why they are so dangerous is because with those narratives, Russia is preparing the foundation of their upcoming invasion into this country because they need collaborationists. They need a foundation that they will rely upon. And basically, if you remember the Russian invaders in the Ukrainian Kherson that was captured in the first days of the Russian invasion, and you remember the Ukrainian protesters on the streets showing middle fingers to the Russian invaders, and there were those protests happening constantly. There were protests taking place in Kherson basically every single day. And you cannot pretend you didn't see that because all the world saw that. Russians need their supporters. And when people go on the streets calling for this, for exiting NATO, they also need people like this that will support the following invasion into a country that quits NATO. And here, for example, you can see German protest. So there were several protests. This one in particular was a protest that took place in Germany in April 2022. So they were protesting against the discrimination of the Russian population in Germany. There's more than 1 million Russians living in Germany. Currently, I think a bit more than that because a lot of Russians fled to Germany from Russia during the mobilization that was not supposed to happen, according to Putler. But they also had several protests, so-called peaceful protests, against without any single Ukrainian flag present at this protest, and this is the foundation of the upcoming Russian invasion into this country. So when whatever country exits NATO, they will need their political parties, they will need their so-called peaceful representatives and collaborationists that will collaborate with the Russian invaders and that will adopt and implement Russian invasion into this country. So this is the thing, guys. Please let me know what you think about it, and Rick, what are your thoughts?
Okay, man. I wanted to say that first, on this photo, you can see even by their backs that they are Russians. They're in Germany. I mean, oh my God, I was just looking into details, and just look at those guys to the right. Typical Russians, like everyone who's on the front. You can tell that they're Russians. If you have ever seen Russians, you will tell.
Yeah.
So the thing is that Russia is pretty deceiving. They will buy anyone, you know. They operate with money, and mm, people often don't even realize what they are rooting for. Being also deceived by Russian propaganda. And a lot of American, uh, I can't call them even bloggers because they are shitheads, just like, how was it, Peter Parker?
Peaceniks, peaceniks.
Peaceniks, I know, but that guy who, okay, Tucker Carlson is the most famous of those assholes. So they just spread Russian propaganda. They will take the narrative that's been sent to them, I believe, from Russian um, coordinators, and they will simply receive a good sum of money on their account. That's how they operate, and they unfortunately have managed to brainwash a significant part of the US society, for example, US. And in Europe, there are many people who believe the guys like Tucker Carlson. And the thing is that Russians, that they are very. Um, I need you to help me with the word. Вони дуже терпеливі, і вони будуть.
They're very patient.
Yes, patient. They're very patient. They will work on this for years, for dozens of years, as they did in many European countries. And only this invasion have opened up the eyes of many people, because it was so obvious, and people couldn't, I don't know, couldn't just be with their eyes closed anymore when Russians started this genocide, killing tens of thousands of Ukrainians and destroying cities completely. But still, a significant part of the world doesn't seem to notice this. This is so dangerous, guys. This is what Russia works on, and this is what Russia cultivates. It cultivates the ignorance. It just supports it with money, with resources, with different agents of theirs. And in time, when you will have more and more protests for so-called peace with Russia, where Ukraine is needed to surrender, you must know that your country is already in danger, because all of that starts like this. Then it goes to the Russian-speaking people in your country who are being oppressed. Then those Nazi terrorist organizations start to capture your governmental buildings, and then someday you just find yourself in some LPR or DPR, so-called republics. So when the important thing I would recommend is, when you just see any of those protests, you must act like we acted. On any pro-Russian force, you got to put out the pro-Ukrainian people there and show that this is not the only opinion that is there. That there should have been Ukrainian flags on that protest. I think the big problem is that we see no Ukrainian flags there. That no people now went there and said, no, you are not deciding here. You are not the only ones here. Russia shouldn't be the only country represented here, especially when it's the occupier, when it's the invader. I don't know why Ukrainians who were was it in Washington, right? I think.
Yeah.
Now, why didn't the Ukrainian people go there that day?
There were some protesters. Actually, I saw a video of man with Ukrainian flag on a bicycle, and when he was interviewed, he said, "Actually, I'm not Ukrainian. I'm Russian, but I feel really upset and really ashamed of what my country that I came from does to Ukraine. That's why I came to support Ukrainians, and that's why I'm carrying Ukrainian flag." And actually, yeah, it's really cool and inspiring. Actually, there's a lot of Russians supporting Ukraine in Europe as well, because in the Netherlands, when I had a trip to the Netherlands in October, there were several Russian stores, and those stores were selling Ukrainian flags and they were supporting Ukraine. So even despite that, there are Russians who live in Europe and basically in the civilized world, democratic countries for quite a while, and they can recognize, you know, Russian bullshit, and they can tell the brainwashing from the true
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah, I know that. I just wanted to finish with that, that we need more force on the streets because that's where it is decided. You see people on the streets protesting for Russia, rooting for Russia. You need to go out there. You need to join the pro-Ukrainian protesters. If we cannot see them on this photo, it doesn't mean that they weren't there. But the thing is, to make the numbers at least even when we do the counter protest because that's how it was in Odessa, for example. There in May in Odessa, where poor boys in panties were burned in what was it? Dom Профсоюзов?
House of the labor unions.
Yes. So that's how pro-Russian forces. That's what the only thing they understand and what can stop them. It is the counter force because it begins like so-called peaceful protests, but then it starts to escalate, and Russians are seeing or pro-Russian elements they are seeing that they have no counter like counter protesting or counter force, and they start to make it more relaxed and they allow themselves more and more. And this is very dangerous, guys. If we won't break the situation right now, Russian influence in Europe first, and then who knows, in the US, it is, I would say, already pretty strong thanks to assholes like Tucker Carlson. So this is becoming dangerous right now. We started. I would unfortunately say that I think we started losing this war in terms of not on the battlefield, but in terms of information, in terms of showing the truth to the people in Europe or in US or in other countries in the world, because there's also Australia, there's also countries of the South America who support us, of Africa who support us, so all over the world. And I must say that I think in the UK it's pretty safe for now, and people all over UK support us because what I've seen there are no signs of Russian influence gaining. But I think I gotta wrap up. I think I let you know what I think about this, and you guys understand what I mean. I just want to mention quickly the email I got on my mail. Hi there, just wondering how to get a patch. I can send money, just not sure if I should send it to your PayPal or there's an online store. So there's actually not an online store. That's actually that page. When you follow the link in the description of the stream, you go to the page of 69 Sniffing Brigade. This is not my organization. This is NAFO squad, I would say. They are the fund who are located in Estonia, and on their count, there are 270 cars brought to Ukraine for the army. So they are pretty trustworthy. If you don't know about them, you can actually go to their YouTube channel, and Starsky have been on their streams for a few times, and also on the cover of their video where they present their organization. So Starsky works with that organization, and guys, they are awesome. So you don't have to send money to PayPal. You just gotta follow that link, and there's a donate button. There are different options like PayPal or bank card and so on. So go there, send money, and then you will receive an email now with the request of your address and name, so they can send you the patch. That's how it works. So that's simple. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you, bro. I think it's a good opportunity to answer some of the viewers' questions. So,
Yes.
first of all, guys, I would like to say thanks to all of the supporters and all of the people who bought membership. Uh, I highly appreciate it. I highly thank you for supporting my channel. And there is a question from the Emerald Wolf. Before the war, what is it like to live in Ukraine? Can you answer this question, bro?
Oh, of course. Before 2014 in Donetsk, there was such a, I would say, prospering life. We had a lot of developing facilities, a lot of developing infrastructure. It was, I don't know, it was just like Kiev those days, and even more developing city than Kiev, as I've heard from some Kiev citizens. I've heard when they were coming to Donetsk, they were saying, "Oh, you had this thing and this thing. We don't have it in Kiev." So this was a prospering city, and I think no, of course, we had a lot of corruption, especially during the rule of Yanukovych, and he was Slideco. Okay, I've seen the message there on the screen. So yeah, here's the right one. And this was, I would say, a careless life, and I was sure in my future. I started working in a company where I was maintaining the firefighting systems, the automatic systems, and I was working in some awesome business centers in the aqua park of Donetsk. Donetsk had its own aqua park, guys. Kiev doesn't have it yet, I think. Do you think so, Gursky?
We do. Actually, we
Oh.
do. We have one in. Is it on like Obolon? No, we have one actually in Obolon, I think.
Yeah.
Sky Park, I believe it's called.
Skype are cool. Would love to visit after the war, I think.
Yeah, but one thing I remember about Donetsk, so I've been there on a business trip, and I arrived on a train to Donetsk. The train opens, I walk out, and I see this thick fog, which is basically smog, but it was so cool, and I cannot see people like further than 15 meters. And my first thought was, man, I never thought Donetsk was such a romantic city. Literally.
So you said it was a fog. It was probably the smoke from the plant, from the metal plant that we have. Oh, actually, two of them there in Donetsk, and in Makivka, where I am from, it's next to Donetsk. There we had a chemical plant, and almost every day we could hear the nice smell of those chemicals flying around, of some chemical waste pouring from the pipes and flying all over Makivka. Yes, there were some problems with ecology there, but besides that, life was just amazing there, guys. You can believe how many attractions we had there, how many clubs, like heavy music clubs, I mean. And I was having fun there, and then just in one day it all stops. Well, not in one day, in a few months, but you know what I mean. When it was captured by Russians. It was, I don't know, it was one of the biggest tragedies in my life, to be honest. Being just taken away. My life was taken away from me, and not only my life, the life of all of my friends. There, we had to start it anew. We had to start from the scratch. So that's just that's just tragic. And then in 2022 there was another tragedy, and fortunately I had a chance to get the best of it and find my purpose. So at least that life from scratch is
Yeah.
getting better.
We have a beautiful comment from
Oh,
this individual. I think he was taking a dump because basically this is what I say every single time I successfully take a dump. I go Slava России, or like yeah, or for example when my dog poops, I also say that because I think it's a perfect opportunity to glorify the terrorist state.
yes.
Uh, and we also have this beautiful comment from uh, this viewer. Bardzo dziękuję, Polacy, jesteście fantastycznie. Uh, and
And I have a
this,
donation. May I mention it?
yeah, sure.
So Alex T sent $20 on my PayPal, saying my cat died July 3, 2 of kidney disease. I'm glad my cat and your cat don't have to suffer anymore, but sad that they are gone. Yes, it is very sad, and my condolences, Alex. And yeah, at least we hope they are in a better place and they can, run around together having fun there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, they're running along the rainbow.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting commentary because this is true. So, totalitarian regimes can only exist in the isolated countries, and isolation is basically the dream of any nationalist. They dream of isolating their country because for some reason they don't believe in prosperity and thriving through partnership. Um,
But you said nationalist. We have like the other example of nationalism, of Ukrainian nationalism, where we accept other cultures, different cultures, but we just want our country to be decided for itself, not by Russia, but by our nationality, by Ukrainians. That's the idea.
I agree on that because if you are a true nationalist and true patriot, you understand that the only way for your country to thrive is through partnership, through integration in organizations like NATO and European Union. And then, if you support this, if you support the idea of collective security, you can be proud of yourself as a true nationalist and patriot of your country. So this is the thing. In the isolated countries, the totalitarian regime has a chance to emerge and to thrive. So I completely agree with this commentary. There is another one. And by the way, I met people from MAGA who supported Ukraine. There was a volunteer from the United States who arrived to Hostomel last year, I believe, yet in spring, in the late spring. He arrived to Hostomel. He met with our command, and he brought blood stopping powders and bandages, and he said that yeah, he supports Ukraine, but he votes for Trump, and he believes in Trump. And I believe again that this is a beautiful thing because there's a lot of people with different ideas, with different political opinions. You can consider them right, you can consider them wrong, but if you have clear understanding that Russia is a terrorist state that invaded Ukraine, then I just applaud to you guys. What do you think about it?
I agree. I think that Trump himself is pretty dangerous as the president of U.S. In his second term. I won't agree with anything else. You know what I mean. But I think if you support Ukraine and you're a MAGA Republican, please, you gotta do at least one thing: poke your congressmen, poke your senators to change their rhetorics, to not isolate US from the world, the outer world, right? And not stop in supporting the Ukraine. The Ukraine? No, supporting Ukraine. Sorry, because it is, when they say na Ukrainu, it is the English version to say the Ukraine, to the Ukraine. So, how could I say that? Oh my God. Yes, if you're a MAGA Republican, please change the mind of your congressmen and of your senators, because you rule them, not them. They don't rule you. So you got to change the situation. Please do it, and you will be supporting Ukraine 100% then. Okay? Thank you. And I wanted to mention also that I see that 3 donations were coming to the campaign there, to DonorBox, through the link itself, 3 times 100 euros. Thank you very much, guys. I see people are buying patches, and also helping. Guys, I forgot to mention for whom this truck will be sent, to whom. It is for the 3rd Assault Brigade, the famous one, the one that was doing counteroffensive this year in Bakhmut, and they were pretty successful in that. They're a very professional brigade, and they are just they deserve that truck. And it's been we've been raising for it for the 2nd week, but we are at, let me check how many percent we are at. Drum roll. Okay, it's 17%, guys. So it's still more than halfway to go. I am sure that we can boost it a bit. And there's a donation at my PayPal from Derek H, $121.03. Keep up the good work, Rick. Derek, do you want me to send this donation to one of my fundraisers besides the NAFO truck, or should I send it to the NAFO truck and then then put your data in so you could receive the patch? Please contact me on Discord. It is written on my channel there, in About tab. There's a Discord community. You can find me there and specify it, please. Thank you for your attention.
Bro, the founders of Mariupol will be remembered in history, much like the 300 Spartans in Thermopylae. I agree on that.
Yes, 100%. And this was I don't know, one of the most epic battles that I've seen. I don't know. It's really like 300 Spartans. They were withstanding forces that were переважали їх.
That they were overwhelmed with Russian troops, but still they were fighting, because this is something that you choose. And I completely agree. We will always remember the heroes. We have another commentary from Elvin Archer. Azov aren't Nazis.
Yes.
And I agree 100%, because if somebody thinks that Azov are Nazis, they should also consider the Jewish community Nazis that help Azov. They should also consider Muslim Ukrainian community Nazis that also help Azov, that donate their blood to Azov guys. And basically, what makes Nazi? Basically, it's one of 2 things. It's either you openly admit that you are Nazi, like Alexei Melchakov, Russian hero, and the dog hunter who was killing stray dogs in Russia, and he's considered a Russian hero and Russian Nazi because he admits that openly.
Yeah.
Or you do shit that Nazi do, which is attacking ethnic minorities, which is attacking people of different races. I've never heard any representative of like any ethnic minority or different race in Ukraine about being attacked by Azov. So they are only Nazi in regards to the Russian invaders. And basically Russian invaders consider Nazi everybody who is not Russian and who doesn't support Russian agenda, which is basically the whole world. And there is an interesting question from our viewer who asks about the story about the fire in Odessa. So basically, the story is following, and I made a short regarding this. You may find it on my channel. In the shorts is just 1 minute. So the story is following. The pro-Russian protesters armed with guns were fighting against Ukrainian protesters, and they barricaded in the house of the labor unions, bringing a lot of gasoline and components to make Molotov cocktails. And there's video footage showing that the fire emerged from within the house and they got burned. So, of course, because they were shooting at Ukrainian protesters, the Ukrainian protesters were also throwing Molotov cocktails, but the very fire that started in the house started inside the house. And Ukrainian protesters, because we're not Russians, we were helping to release them from the house. And again, there's plenty of footage about that. Yeah, there's another one. It's a shame, but Blatistan won the propaganda war. They
No.
are not, let's say, they did not win. The propaganda war is their field of expertise, because Russians were the ones who created propaganda. But the problem with Russians is that Russians have resources to implement this propaganda. So basically, they have this huge oil pipe that converts oil into rubles or dollars or your local currency, and this currency is invested into political parties, into different movements, into opinion makers, into some notorious pedophiles with numerous subscribers that unfortunately still have like a huge audience of people who probably sympathize him, and we are not able to spend billions of dollars on propaganda. No, we have much more important things to do. On the other hand, though, if you are losing the propaganda war in Europe, you are losing the war itself in Ukraine or in your own country. So it's a matter of discussion, actually, but we cannot spend billions of dollars on informational warfare. Russians can do that, and they successfully do that for decades. The result of that you can see in Donbass.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're gonna have a big challenge after deoccupying territories. Yeah, because people in Donbass, they were brainwashed for 10 years, and even those who I know, some of them who were neutral, they all lean to Russia. Some of them, and that's because unfortunately we had no access to them. They were only consuming Russian news sources, as most of the population they watch TV, and TV is a very powerful tool. Unfortunately, you see how they brainwashed Russians. By the way, guys, here's a small announcement. I'm working hard on the next dub with the prisoner of war, with the Russian prisoner of war in Ukrainian captivity. I'm planning to finish it on Saturday and post it on Sunday. It's going to be a premiere Saturday evening. I probably should do it after the shills, like at 11 p.m., let's say, because you guys gotta see both. You don't have to choose. You gotta come to one first. Then, if you wish, you can come and watch the new dub. And I also wanted to thank you for participating in FPV for Christmas initiative. It is still going for the next 4 days, but I must say that the result is very good. Man, I didn't tell you that also, but 3 days ago, Anton Tkachenko, who together with Secular Sekai started that fundraiser, he came to me. He brought 9 more FPV drones, and 15 FPV drones went to still haven't went there because they will go there in 4 days, I think, but they will go to Avdiivka, to 110th Brigade. And of course, 15 drones is just for a few hours of work. But guys, this is a small contribution amongst many small contributions that combined bring the difference, you see? So you all made a difference. Thank you for participating in that amazing initiative. And we have the result. I'm going to be posting that video hopefully tomorrow because when focused on the dub, I don't have time to post anything else. By the way, another donation just came to the NAFO truck campaign. Thank you very much. And yes, just a second. I'll update it. Maybe another one. Yeah, and another one just came. So 5 donations already. Thank you guys. This is a good result, and we're at almost 3,000 euros now from 18,000. Well, with small steps, we are getting there, and I always try to focus on that. That better go with small steps, and sooner or later you'll reach the result. Then sit and just hope for big steps. No, one step at a time. That's how it works. So thank you. And the question or the comment, right? Let's get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much on the update, bro. And I would like to address this comment. So it is absolutely obvious that the closer Russia is to its demise, the more misinformation we will hear from Russia every day. The more calls about the pushing Ukraine towards negotiations we will hear every day. And it's a good indication that Russia is so desperate to achieve at least some victory, some significant result on the front line. Because again, guys, in 2 years they didn't manage to take control over even a single major city of Ukraine, not one of them, out of 22 that are currently under Ukrainian control. So we will hear more of that. And of course, yes, there's a ton of support for Ukraine, and we should keep motivating people because, guys, it's really hard to do your task. It's really hard to fight for your ideas every single day, doing same stuff over and over again, and we all need motivation. I need motivation all the time. When I lose motivation, I meet Rick, and he feeds me some what was that, beef yesterday? Pork was nice.
Pork was nice. Veal was too dry.
Yeah, it was dry. Not easy to chew with my teeth, but the pork was nice.
And there was an amazing frozen salo. Don't forget that one.
Yeah, salo. Yeah, absolutely. But again, after COVID, I have like problems. But pork it was nice. And this question is, absolutely. NAFO is absolutely amazing at countering Russian propaganda, not only by providing, in Twitter, for example, I'm not gonna call it X.
Sure.
In Twitter, in good old Twitter, there's now this thing that viewers can provide some given content with their opinion. For example, when somebody says that Ukraine was locating its air defense among the residential buildings, which is violation of law, like Nebenzia said in the UN. They add the commentary saying that there's no violation of humanitarian law because such law doesn't say anything about the air defense. And things like that. It's very important to see such things whenever the pro-Russian propagandists post some kind of fake or bullshit, like Zaluzhny dead, his deputy dead, and things like that. It's very important that people just rush massively and start adding their comments to this content, and basically people can see the true sources, the fact checking, and they understand that that is just a bullshit. So NAFOR are doing great job at doing this.
Yeah, I wanted to add that you always gotta check who's the author of the article in New York Times, Washington Post, Politico, you know, and what else is it there? Forbes. They always try to get there. Russians, mostly, or pro-Russian elements are writing those articles where Ukraine is done, it should give up, they should negotiate, they are losing this war, and all of that shit. So please always check who's the author. Check his background or her background, where they went before the full scale invasion or even during the full scale invasion, because a lot of them worked for Russia. Some of them are Russians. Actually, guys, yesterday, BBC fucked up big time, and even a Ukrainian BBC, they ordered an article from a Russian guy who was saying that Ukraine is just okay. I gotta find the quote to not say shit about that guy. I need to say the exact shit. So just a second. But before that, while I'm looking for that, I will tell you guys that I also see some donations coming. At least 6,000 hryvnias came to the Monobank jar directly. Thank you. And this Mavic 3T is coming closer and closer to the front line. You see, it's just 50, what, 56,000 is left to raise, and it's basically what, $1,500. Yeah, I think it's just a small piece left from $5,000. I think Mavic 3T costs at least $4,500. Okay, so just a second. That guy was, yes. So his name is Aksionov, Pavel Aksionov, корреспондент русской службы BBC. Ukrainian BBC ordered an article from the Russian BBC correspondent, and he was saying next, the biggest rocket attack, what was it? The act of revenge or the start of winter campaign of missile attacks? So you see, he's trying to victim blame Ukraine. That in that article he said that Ukraine actually destroyed Novocherkassk, and that is why Russia had no other choice than start rocketing Ukraine, start massively sending rockets and Shahed drones to Ukraine and killing civilians. Guys, always check who's the author in those articles. When you see a bullshit article, please check the author and then spread the information that author is pro-Russian. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason why it's impossible to strike Ukraine as a retaliation for destroying Novocherkassk is because they involved bombers, they involved hundreds of drones. They involved different personnel responsible for supplying, for maintaining those airplanes and drones and yada yada. So it requires preparation, and it also requires at least months of collecting and gathering all the needed supplies and resources. It wasn't like like they want to say, they want you to believe that when there was a revolution in Ukraine, the Russians were like, okay, let's liberate people of Crimea. And they just dropped their soldiers there and they did everything. Guys, this operation has been prepared for like months. It was prepared months before the operation in Crimea even started. There's a commentary from Benjamin who says, I agree those dudes are annoying. What can be done? Legally nothing. Unfortunately, people in the US can be douchebags, my friend, people everywhere can be douchebags in Ukraine as well. It would be scarier if we pursued them, just speak louder than them. And I just want to sign under this commentary because in case your opponent can speak louder than you, it's a question like to you as a communicator. So yeah, I completely agree with you on that. On the other hand, though, of course, there is a legal solution because, for example, if a country recognized or an organization recognized as a terrorist, you cannot openly share its ideas. You cannot just walk on the street and speak about establishing the God's state of Iraq and Syria and shit like that, because you will get arrested instantly, because that's spreading messages of ISIS. And Russia was recognized as a terrorist state in October by the Parliamentary Assembly of the European Union, and in November last year it was also recognized as terrorist by the Parliamentary Assembly of NATO. So basically, if the US recognizes Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism, believe me, instantly, all the fucker Carlsons and other like pedophiles and whatever, all those orc supporters, they will shut their fucking mouths instantly, because legal solution can be implemented. It's not about attacking somebody's freedom of speech, because there are rights. Okay, there are rights and there are responsibilities according to any legislation of any country, and your responsibility is to make sure that your rights do not harm other people and other people's rights. And basically, propaganda of terrorism only does that. So there might be legal solution, and that is something that we will be working on even this year.
Guys, what about we together with you rise the campaign in the US to proclaim Russia a terrorist state, or at least a sponsor of terrorism? You can actually not only write letters about supporting Ukraine to your senators and congressmen, you can also write letters where you'll be calling them to proclaim, recognize Russia as a terrorist state, or at least a sponsor of terrorism, because this is what this country is, and we just need the legal solution. And you, as the power, as the government itself in your countries, that's in your hands. That you are those who need to do that. So let's start making the noise. We got to figure out the hashtags and all of that. I guess, Starsky, are you with me on that?
Absolutely, my brother. Absolutely.
Awesome.
So, what is salo?
So that's a pork fat.
No, it's a pork lard.
Lard? I didn't know that the difference between lard and fat.
Basically fat, but it's lard.
Okay, got it.
So, if you want to know the source of the Ukrainian superpower, salo is what we make Ukrainian from, and only pigs can carry this resource that we collect from them and turn them into Ukrainian. That gives us the superpowers, and that dark sense of humor as well.
By the way, more donations were coming, at least 4 more donations. So now it's 3,116 there on the NAFO truck donor box. Thank you very much, guys, for your donations. Also, 20 coffees from Marichka. Do you know Marichka?
I guess.
Okay. Could not find the way to donate for the truck needed for the brigade. Send in some here. Awesome. I will withdraw those 20 coffees and make them $20 and send this on my stream on Sunday. as I always do. Thank you. And on PayPal, and $25 from Mike K. Hello, Rick. Watching the live with Operator Starsky now. I appreciate your hard work on fundraising for drones. It's a tiny amount, but please use this to protect Ukraine. Praying for you and Operator Starsky's safety. Thank you very much for the donation and for praying and for the support.
Thank you so much, my friends. I would like to mention once again all the links that you may find in the description to this video. They're all very important because you can find this beautiful investigation made by the author of the channel called To Be or Быть или. Yeah, and of course the links of Rick. Please support his efforts because Rick is absolutely motivational and amazing because he's doing great job supporting Ukrainian defenders. And guys, we are approaching the end of today's stream. It was amazing. I hope that next time we may hire somebody, to drop us more of your commentaries. I'm trying to do everything myself, but I'm a man. I can only do one thing at a time. I don't have that superpower that females have. Yeah, it was really, really cool. Bro, what do you like to add?
Well, there was one thing that I wanted to mention that I haven't mentioned yet before I will say my last words for today. So, guys, you see why my opinion is why this exchange of today finally happened of prisoners of war. Because we have the initiative now. We Ukraine are speaking from the power of force. That's the only way to operate with bullies, which the terrorist state is. They are bullies, and so we destroyed their Novichokasks, or just one, and we didn't let them capture Avdiivka. They were hoping to do it before the new year, or by the new year, they actually have been unsuccessful in getting Krinky back. It is still ours and will be ours forever. I really hope so. And our Marines, they are, men of steel. I am so proud that we have such defenders and also assaulters, not just defenders. They are liberating our territories. So we have success in the last month, I guess just one. Before that, Russia had the initiative and they had that power, and unfortunately they were dictating and they were saying no exchanges. And then we say, like, smash, then smash again, and they're okay. That fucking bully that comes to you on a dark street will agree to give you your phone back only when you smash him into his face a few times. That's how it works with Russia, and this is why this exchange has happened, because we took the initiative into our arms again. And let's hope this initiative will be there in the next month and we will see more exchanges. That's my opinion. Do you have to add something to that, Starsky?
Yeah, I agree on that, bro. And I would also like to say thank you to our moderators.
Yeah.
You are fantastic as always. Slaughtering orcs in the chat left and right. It's amazing. And also, thank you so much to all the viewers who purchased the membership on my channel. And donated this membership to other viewers. Guys, again, you are amazing. I will make a lot of new emoji for you guys. My favorite one is Putin Hlo. Everybody knows what it means, I believe, nowadays, and the high Mars as well, and the cotton, and yeah. So, guys, I think we'll be calling it a day. If you have any questions, please leave them in the commentaries. We'll try to answer as much as I can, me and my buddy. And be safe, as always, guys. Be safe. It's the most important thing that we can wish nowadays.
Okay, so last thing I'll add, thank you guys. Thank you for everything. Thank you for having me today, Starsky. Thank you for your likes. Also, guys, don't forget to like the stream. This helps. And put any comment after the stream. 6 or 7 words will do, not less, please, because algorithm works that way. And thank you. This is so cool to be here. Your community is amazing. You are superstars, guys. And Starsky, you're a superstar too. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your hard work. I would love to be. Oh my God. No, okay. I won't say that because I'm going to be talking even more. So thank you guys. I love all the Ukrainian supporters. Thank you for supporting my initiatives and Starsky's initiatives. All of this helps to bring our victory closer, and we're one day closer to victory today. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory to the decent people of the world. See you later, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.